Hello, everybody, and welcome to this AMI Connect session. I'm Andrew Morris, Manager of Independent Production at AMI TV. A quick description for those who are blind and partially sighted. I am a white male with a dark beard wearing glasses and a headset. Behind me is a white wall with two large pictures hanging side by side featuring abstract musical art. They look fancy, but really I got them from a street vendor in Rome for €5 each and stuck them in IKEA frames. But before we get started, I'd just like to remind everybody about the closed caption feature. Like this session and all of today's session feature live closed captioning. To access it, click on the closed caption button at the bottom of the Zoom window. Show subtitle turns them on, hide subtitle turns them off, and then all the settings and font size changes can be done under subtitle settings. But if you're using a screen reader, do not enable the closed captioning. Just trust me, it's going to wreck everything, so just don't do it. This session is called Making Adventures Accessible with Bruce Cook and the By Hook or By Cook team. And we are going to have a little bit of fun here today. This panel is awesome, and I'm going to introduce them shortly. But first, I just want to do a bit of housekeeping. If you are in this room, not only are you part of the cool crowd, but you have also been automatically entered for a draw for a prize. I don't know what it is, but who cares? It's free stuff, and you're probably going to buy it anyway. So with that, winners are going to be contacted via email after this event. And of course, if you're having technical issues with this event, visit the info booth and a member of the VFairs team will assist you. And visit the lounge to find links to our social media accounts and email address if you'd like to reach out. So with that, do you know what you're going to be doing tonight? I sure do. I'm going to be in my pajamas in front of the TV because By Hook or By Cook premieres tonight at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern, only on AMI TV. Here's a preview.
My name is Bruce Cook, and I ride freestyle motocross.
This is the biggest trick in the world of action sports, a double front flip!
35 feet in the air, I under-rotated. When I landed, I couldn't feel my legs. I knew this would not be the end for me. With the help of friends, innovation, and modifications,
You want to talk about a comeback? Here it is!
10 months later, I landed the world's first backflip as a paraplegic. Touring with Nitro Circus has gotten my story out there and triggered a flood of messages from people with injuries and disabilities. It's been 7 years, and I'm ready to help other people. I've teamed up with some other innovative friends, and we are on a mission to help people with disabilities experience epic adventures. By hook or by cook.
Oh, that's so cool. All right, let's meet this awesome panel. Okay, so when I call your name, just give a brief description of what you look like for the benefit of our blind and partially sighted attendees. First, Bruce Cook, hello. And oh, I see you are with Pamela Tomlinson there. Say hello.
Hello, yeah, my name is Bruce Cook. I am a white male wearing a black Nitro Circus shirt, as I do pretty much every single day. And we're together in the room because we're actually on the road filming in Slave Lake, Alberta. And behind me is some very common hotel room art. So if you've ever been in a hotel room, it's basically the exact same one of those, very bland.
Excellent. And Pamela, who is in the same frame, hello.
Hello, I am a white female with blonde hair, and I also wear the same black shirt every day, except unlike Bruce, I wash mine.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, good to know. I'm sorry, and I should have said, so Pamela Tomlinson is Render Digital Media, the producer of the series. And I also want to introduce the co-host and frequent participant, Christian Bagg. Christian, how are you doing?
I'm really well. Yourself?
I'm doing fantastic.
Good. I am a white male with what was once brown hair and now is gray. And I'm in front of a wall of tools, vices, hammers, drills, Allen keys. I'm wearing a black bowhead hoodie, as I do almost every day. And I'm in my shop.
Excellent. And we're going to talk about that name Bowhead later on. But before that, let's keep going. We've got Ishan and Shania Manerakar. Ishan, say hello.
Hi, my name's Ishan. I am generically brown. I have a pinkish shirt, and behind me is something resembling a kitchen.
Your sister was like shaking her head for that whole thing. So Shania, okay, I know you guys like brother and sister vibe going on here, but it's your turn. Hello, how are you? Unmute yourself.
Hi. I too am a generically brown individual. I am female. I am wearing a black shirt, and unlike more or less everyone else here, I change my clothes on a daily basis.
Thanks.
And I'm in a white room with a colorful picture to my right. I know my rights and lefts.
Excellent, thank you. And I should say that Ishan and Shania are participants in the show. We call them thrill seekers. I don't know, I just made that up. And then also we can't see Elena, but Elena Falcone is here as well. She's a marketing specialist from AMI. Hi, Elena.
Hi, everybody.
Hi. Now, Elena is actually going to be helping out. She's going to be watching the chat box because we're going to take questions all throughout this panel. So if you have a question that you want to ask anybody here, just type it right into the chat panel there. And if you're having trouble with typing or not able, or for accessibility purposes, you can raise your hand and we'll answer your question verbally, or you can ask your question verbally. All right, so let's get into it. Bruce, I'm going to start with you. We're actually going to go around a little bit. I just want to introduce like you and Christian and kind of how this show came about. But Bruce, I want to just start. I mean, you're the lead guy here, so maybe just give us a little background on where you're coming from, and like in terms of your sport, your motocross, and just a little background on who you are and how the show came about from there.
Yeah, so I've basically been riding dirt bikes since I was about 3 years old. So literally my whole life on them. As long as I was walking, I was riding dirt bikes. And in 2005, I started doing that professionally. So traveling mostly all around Canada, performing freestyle motocross shows, and yeah, just kind of living the dream. That's what I wanted to do. All I wanted to do every day. And so to be paid for riding my dirt bike and getting to travel was amazing. And then fast forward a little bit to 2014, I had the opportunity to do a show with Nitro Circus, which is an action sports touring company. And I was set to attempt the world's first double front flip on a dirt bike, and basically under rotated a little bit, folded in half the wrong way, which resulted in me breaking my back and my T11 vertebrae, and left me in the wheelchair. So with riding dirt bikes, there's a lot of crashing and a lot of injuries, as I'm sure most people know. And it was kind of always, how fast could you get back on the dirt bike? It wasn't really how fast could I walk again or whatever it was. Is kind of, how's the bike and how fast can I get back on? And this time was obviously a lot more serious, but I was pretty much instantly thinking, how can I adapt my bike to be able to get back on and continue doing what I love? Because that's all I know. That's all I wanted to do. And I happen to have a good fabricator friend that lives in London, Ontario, and he kind of got to work pretty much within the first couple of weeks after my accident with adapting the bike and figuring out a way that could make it work. And then fast forward 9 months, I rode the bike for the first time. We did a few little tweaks. And then a month after that, I was able to land the first backflip on a dirt bike as a paraplegic.
Wow.
And yeah, that just kind of sums up my life. It's just kind of figuring out a way. A lot of the times it's a lot hokier and a lot sketchier than maybe a machinist would do. I see Christian smirking because he may agree. But my dirt bike is done really well, and I had very little to do with that. But it's, yeah, ever since a young age, I was just kind of figuring things out. I was raised on a farm, and so there was a lot of just kind of fixing things with string and duct tape, and if it doesn't work, you figure out a way to make it work. And that's kind of been my whole life. And so when I was approached by Pam to do this show, it was kind of an instant yes for me, because I didn't actually have a lot of details at the time, but it was just like, this is going to be us figuring out a way to take people with disabilities and do whatever they want to do, basically. So it's just like 100%. Yeah, we'll figure it out the rest later on.
Right. So yeah, hanging people off the edge of a cliff with duct tape. I mean, I'm all in.
Yeah.
How do I sign up? I'm good for it. Yeah, and you guys, like this show is filled with, you know, we're not talking about like crossing a river. We're talking about some pretty wild, amazing stuff. And you guys are, you know, like there's some major innovation that goes on with this show. So, Bruce, maybe you could just speak a little bit to you know, where that comes from, you know, that idea that you are going to make things accessible for people so that they can go on these wild and crazy journeys.
I guess like I love the fact, or I love when things are accessible around town, obviously with ramps and elevators and all that type of thing. That's for day-to-day life. That is so handy and saves you so much time and frustration and everything. But my whole life, I've loved getting out into the mountains, and like, even as an able-bodied person, doing stuff that people wouldn't regularly do. So I know that not anytime soon there's not going to be like paved paths everywhere that I want to go anytime soon, for sure. So I want to continue to go into the mountains, and I want to continue to get into the rivers and lakes and stuff. And I know that it's going to be up to myself to do that for myself and figure out a way to make that possible. So that's kind of where that comes from, and just kind of not wanting to wait around for someone else to figure out a way or to make things accessible. Like there's always a way to do it. And especially if you've got the right friends and support system and group around you, you can usually make some pretty incredible things happen.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I actually want to come back to that in just a few minutes. Just this idea of sort of challenging the social model of disability where, you know, I remember that was part of the original pitch of the show. But at this point, Christian, I'd like to bring you in because, you know, we're talking about innovation here. I know that you were one of the first in on this show, and you're like a big innovator as we're looking at your shop with all your tools around you there. So tell me about like, how did this all come about for you? And just give us a bit of background on your involvement with the show and how you came to it.
Well, I guess I've been in a chair I've used a chair for 25 or 26 years now. So I'm 6'4". And so in the very beginning, like a lot of equipment didn't fit me properly, like manual wheelchairs, for example. So within a year of breaking my back, I made my first chair. And then very quickly realized that, kind of very similar to Bruce, that the things that I wanted to do, I was going to have to figure out how to do them myself, because sometimes there wasn't a solution that had been thought of. So it really, the similar attitude of just choosing to do it, knowing that you'll have to find a way for it to happen, kind of a chicken and egg
Right.
sort of scenario. So yeah, it was just my adult life really has been designing and building stuff to selfishly get myself where I want to go. And then a byproduct of that is, which is, you know, as I get older, it's turned around and become the focus, is the enjoyment that I get from helping and enabling other people to go to those places that I dearly love.
Right.
So yeah, so it kind of, I got tricked into being an adult by time.
Didn't we all? Yeah, that's amazing. And I know that like you've invented this awesome bike, and I want to talk. You know what? I might even be insulting you by calling it a bike. What would you call this?
I call it a bike. I mean, I guess it's a trike, but I've never wanted a trike other than when I was little. So I like bikes. So I don't care how many wheels it has to anyone who's going to chat in. Bike, it's my bike.
Okay, well, I mean,
so it does have 3 wheels, and it's an electric bike, and it has a unique sort of front end on it that articulates, and so it can go over rocks and roots and logs and accommodate side slopes and things. So it was really specialized in that it had to go to the places that I used to love going,
Right.
and that was its criteria. And then as the company's grown, we've stuck to the core belief that it also can't leave anyone behind as far as a variety of disabilities. So we are committed to making sure that it's not just for the ablest of the disabled, if that we work to accommodate everybody.
Right. It's amazing. And this bike is, it's featured in, I can't remember which episode. Pamela, is it episode 2? All right. So you're not going to see it tonight, but you'll have to come back next week for it because it is a mean machine. It's very cool. Anyway, and Pamela, I'm going to bring in you as well. So, we're talking about, how the series came about. So you're the producer for this series. So what was the genesis of it? And tell me how it all started up.
Well, I was approached by AMI 4 years ago now to work on some of the internal productions, so like our community shows, and then we did an hour-long doc, and it was always very focused on like a participant and an end result and some kind of thing they went through in order to get there, or some kind of organization. But what I found was really cool was the amount of innovation that was going on to get from A to B that no one was really talking about. So we took a guy river rafting, and the focus was guy goes river rafting, feels better about his life, happy ending. Right. But behind the scenes, there was a camp kitchen that was lowered so that he could still help make dinner. There was like this big floaty thing put in the raft so that he could sit up without any core strength. And then when we did another one on a glacier, it was like the same idea, but no one was talking about like the fact that someone took a trail rider, came up with a ski, welded it together, and made this sled to get him up the glacier. So I thought, I think what we're really missing here is like the minds and the thoughts and the things that are made in order to make these great moments happen.
Right.
So that's kind of, it's morphed since then.
That's what the show's about.
Yeah.
Did you know that, Bruce?
Oh yeah, so that's it. Right.
Like I said, we're learning as we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. So before thank you for that, Pamela, and of course, Bruce and Christian, Shania and Ishan, I'm going to bring you in just a second. Elena, I see that there are a bunch of questions coming in here. Can we just, do we have something that someone's asking us? Yeah.
So Bernard asks, it's probably a good question for Pamela, will there be filming in Ontario eventually? It's my destiny to be on this show.
The only reason that we've stuck to Western Canada for first season and now second season is just COVID. We're trying to keep our bubbles as small as we can, and we're trying to try to respect all of the different provinces' travel restrictions. So I would say, unless something crazy happens with COVID this year, it will not likely film in Ontario.
Okay,
maybe we'll have a season 3.
Maybe we'll have a season 3. We should say that, and we're going to get into this a little bit later too, that even though season 1 is starting tonight, season 2 is actually just ramping up with casting too. So we're going to give you a little bit of information about that as well. Elena, I see quite a few stuff coming through here. Do we have one more for now?
So we have another question from James. This is a question for Bruce. I'd like to know how you work the shifter.
So I actually don't. That's the simple answer. For basically since my injury, my bike has been on tour. It's still actually in California. One thing it does have in it is called a recluse clutch, which it's almost an automatic. So it doesn't shift through the gears, but if I put it in any gear, I can come to a stop and the bike will continue running. So if I take my bike to a track or something, it's a 450, so it's got tons of power. I generally just put it in third gear and I can do the whole track on that. But since it's on tour and my riding is 98% on tour, all I use is first gear, click it in first and go, and that's plenty to get me upside down and hopefully land and do all the stuff that I do. So short answer is I don't shift, but there is electronic shifter kits available that I could and probably will do once I get my bike home and do some more track riding and that type of thing.
Amazing. Thank you. We're going to come back to some more questions as well. I don't know. I'm sorry, Bruce, but it scares the crap out of me. I mean, I ride a motorcycle as well, and I'm in my 5th year, and I'm still terrified of it. So I don't. You
Me
say
too.
like you say backflip, and I'm like I can't. Okay, so now Shania and Ishan, I have been told to be careful about what I ask you guys because you can debate and argue, and I understand that you guys are very competitive. We saw a little bit of it in the show as well. Shania, let's start with the easy stuff, okay? Tell me how you found out about the show, and once you did find out about it, like, and you agreed to it, I guess. Like, what were you expecting?
Um, well, we found out through a guy named Troy. We've known him for forever. He's taken us on all sorts of hikes in the mountains and stuff. Um, as to what I was expecting, I honestly have no idea. I knew I was gonna go on an adventure and it would be fun. Um, yeah, I don't know.
Now,
It was
I understand that you struggled with that a little bit because stuff wasn't going to be planned out
I'm a control freak,
like you like your
absolutely.
life.
Yeah. Um, yes, they have really tested my control freaky nature. Um, I like to know what's gonna happen and where we're gonna go and what we're gonna do, and I got none of that. Um,
Did that freak
so
you out?
yeah, absolutely, a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
But it was absolutely fantastic.
Cool.
So
Cool. Well, it's not like you're going to say I had the worst time. We would have picked a
it
different
was
panelist.
terrible. Oh my god,
Ishan,
never
I,
again.
Ishan, I know that you had a bit of a different take on it, that spontaneity comes maybe a little more naturally to you. Is that true?
Definitely a little bit more naturally. I would say that Shania is so
Oh, here we go.
absurdly extreme that that's not saying much. Definitely a control freak a little bit myself, but comparatively so, yeah.
Right. So Ishan, tell me, we know how you got to the show. We know some of the stuff that you did. Everyone that's listening in today is going to find out tonight. But tell me from this experience, like what surprised you the most?
That's a good question. I thought that I would be able to so I enjoyed going out into the mountains with everybody and having like access to my phone and just like being surprised all the time. Don't get me wrong, I hated that part too, but like deep down I loved it. But it was so different being like on the camera all the time. Oh man, that was such a unique experience. And then like just doing new things all the time. Pam absolutely packed our days full. And so it was quite an adrenaline experience for basically 48 straight hours.
Wow. Yeah, making notes on the show was also quite an adrenaline experience for 48. I'm sorry, that's not true. That's not true. This was one of the most fun shows that I've ever had my hands on at AMI, so I'm totally thrilled about it. Shania, I'm gonna just jump back to you for a second. What about like some stuff behind the scenes? You guys there must have been some fun there that we didn't see, or maybe not even fun, like stuff that like prep stuff that that we didn't get to see, that we're not going to get to see on camera, that might be interesting for people to know about?
Well, okay, so they surprised us for our first interview.
Okay.
That's a very
Except
kind way of saying we were flat out lied to.
yes, we were flat out lied to. They told our mother, and our mother was to trick us. And so she said that we were going on a hike with our older brother Josh. And so he was gonna come to our house at 9, and we were all gonna meet there, and then we were gonna go. And so I was like asking questions like, "Oh, where are we gonna be going?" And Mom's like, I don't know, Josh knows. And then 9 o'clock came and went. And our brother is insanely on time. And if he's not on time, like to the minute, then he is forgotten. So 15 minutes later, I'm like, okay, he must still be in bed. And so I call him. I'm like, Josh, where are you? Like, are you coming? What are you doing? And he's like, I was sleeping. What are you doing? And so then I told him, like, we're going on a hike today. Didn't you, like, did you forget? And so then he makes me put him on the phone with mom. And mom's like, okay. So you'll be here soon?
I
And
didn't know this
then
part.
This is the behind the scenes, but this is how we trick people into making shows with us.
yeah. And then Ishan, he came in. He has like his whole side to the why the heck were we meeting way up north when he lives in the south.
You're too smart.
And then yeah, Ishan comes in and he's annoyed because like why did he have to get unloaded from the van? We're just gonna get loaded back up and drive away. And then like we're like, oh, I guess we should all go to the bathroom before we leave. And then we were getting late, and so mom's like trying to shoo us out the door. And so like I'm going out the door. I'm like, something is not right here. This all feels a little weird. And so then we get to the bottom of the ramp, and mom still hasn't opened the garage door to open or to let us out. And then there we find a whole bunch of cameras and strangers in our face.
Oh my
That
goodness.
was fun.
And don't tell us anymore, because that's actually when the show starts. So,
Yeah.
and Ishan, is that I see your expression through this. What's your take on that story? You weren't buying any of it, right?
I was absolutely outraged. The lack of efficiency demonstrated by my family. Like, I don't want children for that reason. Like, the human race deserves to die just because I was so angry. I don't usually get rolling until 9 a.m. if I can help it, and that's a pretty punctual day. So the fact that I was picked up at my place at 8:30, which means I woke up a half an hour early because I love my family for some reason, and then I get shipped up to the other end of the city. Like, what? To go to the bathroom? Are you kidding me? So I was not happy at all.
Right. Well, and I think that, this is great to know, because if you're going to be part of this show, you need to know that there's planning that goes into these shows, and sometimes we just got to do what we got to do to get you out there. But at the end of the day, you guys had a good time, right?
Yes, I've literally had dreams for months about this. So
Dreams, nightmares, or dreams?
dreams, good
Wonderful.
dreams.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Elena, I see there's maybe just a few questions that came in. Maybe can we pick one out and see what people are asking?
So we have a question from Marnie. She asks, how have you found hotels re-accessibility for wheelchairs in BC and Alberta?
Great question. Pamela, maybe you could start us off there.
Funny you ask that. You know what? Sometimes they're good, but a lot of the time they're not. Like, we checked into this hotel that we're at, booked Bruce an accessible room. Couple came the day before, wanted to spend an extra night. They kept them in the accessible room, so they couldn't give Bruce an accessible room. So I find it frustrating. I can't imagine how Bruce finds it.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely varies, and I'm sure all of us can answer to that. But yeah, I've literally traveled all around the world, and they try and get me into accessible rooms. And I think accessible room is a very broad term also, because to some hotels it can mean the same as any other room, but putting in like a rail beside the toilet or something that doesn't really do anything when you can't even make it to the toilet. So, and then others have amazing bathrooms that are half the room and everything's roll in, and even the like stuff like the drainage, like so it doesn't, the water from the shower doesn't flow over all the rest of the bathroom. It's kind of just luck, and unless you spend hours calling ahead to the city that you're going to and each hotel and figuring out exactly what they have, then it's tough because there's accessible and then there's accessible to code,
Right.
and then there's everything in between. So
Someone's
it's
best guess.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's built by people that are not in wheelchairs and they haven't even consulted with anyone in a wheelchair. So
Same
Right.
yeah, maybe a quick Google search.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
have another question from Julia. She asks, what type of bikes are accessible and did you build your bike?
Ooh, Christian, this is a good one for you.
I did build my bike. Lots of bikes. And so the bike is Bowhead Corp, is the name of the website. But if you wanted to see them, so there's different. We have people that are amputees, paras, low-level quadriplegics, muscular dystrophy, cerebral palsy. So there's a variety of different adaptations to it. And then, not to go on too much, but when we encounter someone with a new disability and a new set of needs, we kind of bring them into the R&D fold, because I don't have cerebral palsy or I don't have muscular dystrophy. And so kind of like what we do on the show, like we take the opinion and needs of the individual we're working with, and we listen to them, and then we try and do something creative and kind of go back and forth until you solve a problem. And then usually the people that want bikes like that are the same sort of people that want to be on the show, and they're creative, like risk takers as well. So it's kind of, that's where the show is so familiar to me, because I've worked with these types of people for a long time. Just not that I can't do it, but I want to do it and I don't know how, but I'm willing to let you try.
And you yourself also went through many renditions of bikes
Mhm.
before landing on this one too. You should mention.
Yeah,
it's
there was 20
process.
failures before there was a success.
Thanks for bringing
Certainly.
that up.
Only
Bruce.
20?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Sorry, go ahead. Who was chiming in?
Oh, I was just gonna say, it sounds like you're the Iron Man of bikes. Like, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy to do, like even with, as our team gets bigger, and again, just like the show, like having the reaction of like you and your sister, like having people enjoy what you've done for them and recognize that we're all sort of working towards this common goal of having fun. That's really what motivates you beyond that first, selfish thing of like, how am I going to get outside? Then it's like, actually, it's way more fun to see other people enjoy it.
Awesome. With that, I want to just take the conversation somewhere a little to the left a little bit here. Now, I am mindful of the time because we have less than 10 minutes left, and I know I'm totally stupid for bringing this up now because it's gonna open something up here. But I remember, as I mentioned in the first place, that the original pitch, Bruce, and probably Christian, you as well, the whole concept of this show was challenging the social model of disability. The idea that, you're not going to wait for the environment to become accessible around you, but you're going to carve your own way of making things accessible for yourself. There's another side to that. And Shania and Ishan, I've got control of your mic mutes here, so just watch yourselves. But there's another side to that. I just don't want you guys to like take this off the rails. There's another side to that, where, like maybe you're letting some organizations, or maybe you're letting some trails or parks or hotels or whatever off the hook by doing what you're doing. So, Bruce, maybe you could address that a little bit for me.
Yeah, like I'm not saying that I'm against that type of thing and the environment changing whatsoever, because like it should. But I just know the pace of which that happens, and I'm a very impatient person. But yeah, I think there's a happy medium. I try and be a voice for getting things adapted and use my platform to do so and push for things. And in my like posting stuff, especially on like social media, it's more of a just kind of bringing that to light than a complaint, like whether it's a parking lot that doesn't work or no ramps or something, or it's kind of, and then the amount of feedback I get from that from everyone is huge, and like, wow, I didn't even think of that type of thing. So like, I'm not going to come up with a way to do things in town basically when there is already things in place that can make that happen, like simple ramps and elevators and things, and even just the way your parking lot's set up or stalls or all the stuff that's already in place. Like, so I'm a huge advocate for that, and that those things need to continue to happen. I just know that every mountaintop I want to go to or plan to go to isn't going to get a paved path or have an elevator to the top or anything. So I think I try my best not to go down the path of either too far, and trying to stay in the middle and find a happy medium of getting all the stuff that we need and should have in towns and places that people frequent. But I also know that there's not enough people that want to go to the tops of the mountains that I want to do to make it feasible to make that accessible to everyone. So it's tough, because I know a lot of money is involved, and even through the show I've had to deal with that and try and keep a budget for my things, which is tough because I want to do these over the top things. But yeah, I think that's kind of without directly answering it, but it's trying to find a happy medium, I guess. And for sure, I wouldn't want to let people off the hook. But I think I also don't want to publicly shame them. I think the biggest thing is just kind of educating where I can in a slightly aggressive, jabby way.
Sure. But in the meantime,
yeah.
you know, you've got the skills and the means to climb the mountains you want to climb, and so be it.
Well, and that's just it. And I know that I'm very grateful for all that stuff. And I've been able to do that, and I've got an awesome support system and group of friends that has the skills to do that. So I just want to share that with as many people as I can that maybe don't have the means or just don't even know how, or don't know where to start. Because sometimes maybe they do, or they do have friends that want to help, but they just maybe don't know how to ask or how to even get going. And I think once you just get together with people and start spitballing ideas and brainstorming, it's like, even ourselves as a team, like we think we're going to do one thing, we get talking, and then we end up on something completely different. Like we've been doing that over the last couple of weeks a lot. So yeah, it's just whatever it can help. Like I would just love to see more people getting out and doing this stuff. So
cool. And with that, sorry, go ahead, Christian.
I was just going to say, I think one of the things the show does really well is it makes things that are inaccessible accessible through technology, but the things that we do are also inaccessible to quote unquote able-bodied people. You know, I don't want to ruin anything in the show, but like let's say mountain climb, you know, you can't climb a mountain unless you have ropes and harnesses and things like that. So even able-bodied people need technology, but no one's paving that road up. So we're not fighting the accessibility fight on this show per se. We're trying to use technology and get to somewhere that nobody can get to. So it really is more inclusive in that way, and that it's not the focus. The focus is fun.
Yeah,
yep.
Great.
Good point.
Yeah. Ishan, so we've only got like a minute left, and I want to talk about casting, but just before that, Ishan, I just want to ask you your opinion. I mean, I know you had fun on the show, but why do you think that this kind of show should be on TV?
I think it really shows that even though you're disabled, you can be disabled and still not live a normal life, and that's a great thing. Like, to show us how brilliant life can be, and just all the kinds of crazy things you can do. And you get told a lot when you're disabled, like, oh, your life isn't going to be normal. And I think Bruce and Pam have done a really good job of showing us, like, yeah, they're absolutely right. Like, you want to come do this awesome activity with us? And so you can still definitely have that sense of adventure. You don't have to give that up. There's two sides of normal, and I think this show showed how you can be on the right side of that.
Pamela, just give me an email address. Where can people go if they want to inquire about casting?
Casting at renderedigitalmedia.com.
Beautiful. We are out of time. Oh my goodness, we could have gone for probably another 3 minutes. I want to thank all the panelists and everybody for attending this session. It's been such a pleasure, and make sure you catch that show tonight. Up next, Kelly and Company featuring Kelly and Ramya. Learn more about AMI Audio's daily afternoon program. It starts at 5:50 sharp. Access it in the auditorium, and visit the info booth in our exhibit hall to learn more about AMI, or if you're having any technical issues. Oh, someone said did I say 5:50? I'm sorry, 5:30 is when the Kelly and Company show is coming up. So that's it for today. Thanks again, everybody. Be safe, everyone, and we will see you soon.